see David Walsh reaching into his bag, but all of his dice are on the table. Got some great dice bags from the players here. Okay, so looks like David is going first. So he's got his dice tower. Boom, boom. Okay. Bolt, bolt. Mask, mask. Ooh. Oh, so, yes, Dave comes through for me and plays Vibranium Shield. I promise I didn't put him up to this. I talked about it on the stream yesterday. Really solid card. Supremely underrated. Great counter for the Hulk. Playing things with Shield Globals and Jinzo is really fantastic because if your Jinzo comes up energy, it's one more thing to do with it. But at the same time, playing a temptation for your opponent to use a global when they in fact shouldn't because you've got an active Jinzo. So looking at Brandon's team, wow, okay, why would you not play Gabi if you're playing villains? He's got Venom, sort of again, why would you not? Cheetah, Black Manta, he really just has tons of options. He does not choose to bring Professor X. Because of the Blue Eyes Global, he's able to buy the dice he wants pretty cheaply. And dice like Constantine, even though they're not villain dice, are almost too good for him to ignore. You'll notice that he's utilizing both Transfer Power and Distraction, compared to David's Polymorph and Relentless. David is only marginally shifted away from what he was doing at Nationals. He's using Web Slayer, which is pretty interesting because it means that he will be able to guarantee something like Jinzo or Wolverine, who just a bigger body to get through. And even if it's not necessarily a bigger body, it's just a bunch of small characters like 4 Black Widows, that's gonna really pay off. So Brandon's using Joker, Clown Prince, or Crime over Loki, Gemkeeper, which essentially have the same effect, but different bonuses to how getting to field them, right? So if he was using Harley Quinn, I would say, oh, of course the Joker. Solomon Grundy is pretty fascinating because he's going to act as removal for Brandon, and he's also going to act as direct damage because of Black Manta, Deep Sea Deviant. I'm so excited to see how these teams play out. David's purchased Lord of D, again, another shield character who's going to help him fuel his Vibranium Shield Global. There is the chance that David goes for buying a Blue Eyes White Dragon die, and the Dragon Protector ability is going to really come into play there. So fielding 2 sidekicks, 3 bolts and a shield. Let's see where Brandon goes with this. This is Brandon's ramp. So Brandon's going to get a discount of 4 on the next card he purchases, and then he pays 1 for the Joker. This is a very Wally control type setup that Brandon is starting to go for. If David doesn't get the stuff he wants early enough, Brandon is going to shut him out of those being options. Okay. Let's see what David rolls. Okay, so we've got those just the dice drew from the bag. So into the dice tower the dice go. He's got a shot at Dragon Protector here. Okay. And okay, he's got the character face on Dragon Protector, I believe. Oh, maybe that might be the shield face. Okay. Oh no, that's character face there on Dragon Protector. Okay. So fields a sidekick. Very likely that he's going to use that Blue Eyes Global. He brought it himself. His opponent has it too. Oh no, he just straight up buys Wolverine. Oh, polymorphing Wolverine. This is David's favorite play. So now David has to choose between fielding Dragon Protector and breaking his ramp. Passes priority. It's pretty clear that Dave has gone with missing out on fielding Dragon Protector. No, oh, not passing priority. My mistake, I guess. So fields Dragon Protector and attacks. Boom. So Brandon's down to 11 life. And shaking up the bag. 4. Okay, so there appears to be some kind of question here. Okay. Let me see if I can go help resolve whatever the question is. There's a question of where a die came from, and players have agreed that it seems it came from the bag, even if that is potentially a source of confusion. Okay, so I believe the dice were rolled as I was on my way back to my seat where I can see the game. Okay, so re-rolling the Joker die. Again, double shield. So that's a little painful, but, you know, thankfully the Joker is going to also be a Vibranium shield source. I know it's not that important. I just love talking about it. Also, he's a source for transfer power, and his low attack stat is actually a real blessing. Okay, so fielding a sidekick. Yeah, not going to use the wild energy for a bolt because he's already got that. Okay, so I think David is explaining some timing nuance to Brandon, and not for a current situation. Okay, so mask and shield. Okay, so what Brandon is kind of wondering, like, what is my next step here? He's got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy. So 6 energy plus the ability to KO a sidekick to get a 2-cost discount. So he could have as many as 7 energy worth of purchasing power here. And it's kind of tough to know what to go for. He could get 2 dice that are actually really good. He could, and not even care the sidekick. He could get a Constantine and perhaps a Black Manta or a Cheetah. Remains to be seen. One of the things that's interesting is the cards that Brandon has foregone bringing to the game. He is not trying to do something gimmicky like changing his characters into sidekicks, into villains. He's not trying to convert them with global abilities like Iron Man or the one from the AVX OP kits, which the name eludes me, of course, at the moment. But Brandon also selected to not bring Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is a great low purchase mask buy, but apparently, you know, he's just hitting enough mid-range things that he doesn't quite need it. Okay, so he spends a bolt for the Blue-Eyes Global ability, KOs the sidekick die, and let's see what he spends it on now. Okay, spends 2. Oh, sorry, spends for a Venom die. Ooh. Venom can be a nasty thing to deal with, but I don't know that David is necessarily very concerned. One of the cool benefits of Venom in this strategy is that it actually makes your Black Manta dice bigger. So should be interesting to see how that affects the outcome of the game. I can't help but feel as if David getting lucky at some point here is going to simply mean that Brandon's out of the game. Like, formerly Weapon 10 is just big, bulky damage. And I'm just kind of blown away at how much damage that can really turn into. There's no opportunity for Brandon to reduce the attack on Wolverine. There is no opportunity for him to try to use something like, I mean, there is distraction. And he's got his mask set aside for it. But because he's going to use distraction, it means that he won't be able to go ahead and use Professor X to ramp up. I see that as a big detriment. This could be getting a little bit off the rails for Brandon. You really have to feel for anybody who first round of a tournament, as they're getting ready to try and go home with the big prize and hopefully make it through the event. X and 1 or better, gets paired up against a national champion. But keep in mind that David is not indestructible. He did lose, I believe, 2 games of Swiss during the national championships in Maryland. So with a little bit of luck and of course the right attitude, Brandon could be taking this game home. Let's see what happens here. So Wolverine attacks alone and distraction. Okay, good, because without that, Brandon is a sunk individual. So 4 dice from the bag. Constantine 3 sidekicks, and the sidekick from the preparator are going to get rolled. Brandon's really hoping, of course, for the free face on Constantine. And let's see what he gets. Okay, so mask, sidekick. Sidekicks are actually better than energy for Brandon because he can convert them into 1 energy now and an extra die to roll later. David just used Professor X's global because nothing Brandon does is going to affect that, even if it's a casual. Oh, so Brandon passes. This is Brandon's defensive turn. He's got some energy saved up for distraction. So David didn't bring Doom Caliber Knight as he did at Nationals. Otherwise, I think last turn and then this turn would have been game for Brandon. Okay. So, rough. Interestingly, the polymorph die is actually not a good aggressive option for David right now, because if he polyed away Constantine, the effect would still be on him that he would not be able to attack with Wolverine if he fields him, and that we would ignore the text. And what could he bring in? Oh, he could bring in Joker, and Joker would miss the when fielded, and his ability would not be effective. Or he could bring in Venom and KO his sidekicks and make his Dragon Protector smaller. Really just not a good time for Poly as a defensive, maybe not defensive is the right word, as a way to damage your opponent. But let's see if David purchases some die that he'll want to poly them into play. So that bolt could become 2 energy, and via KOing a sidekick, he could spend 4 and get access to a 6-cost die, like Jinzo, or he could have an energy left over and buy Spider-Man. He could even just poly in a second Wolverine and have some energy left over to ramp up. Let's see what David does. Even though you won't get the bonus from attacking with 2 Wolverines, you just need to get the damage through, and it's going to be lethal. Who cares? Brandon is sitting on a ton of defensive tricks here. He's got his transfer power, which would allow him to jump block with, let's say, a sidekick, let a big attacker through, and KO a smaller one. But since Wolverine will likely be attacking alone, I'm not sure how good a move that is. One of the other cool things with transfer power is you can not really care about the size of that Wolverine that's going to get through. Fine, he's got 1 attack. David's thinking pretty hard about his next move here, because with all the different defensive options that Brandon's got, he doesn't want to give him any extra wiggle room to put himself in a good position. Okay, the Jinzo. Brandon doesn't necessarily have a defense against Jinzo, and David has to know this. So Brandon, if he wants to ramp, is gonna take 6 damage. Uh, puts him precariously low. Unless Brandon has an answer for a fielded Jinzo, which his closest is Solomon Grundy. So he hasn't even purchased that die yet. This is going to be really troublesome for Brandon. So Brandon takes 2 for the first use of Professor X's Global. And then he might do it again. He does. And he's going to go down to 7. Oh, no, he does not. He only used it once and was moving those dice because he was missing the opportunity to actually use them. So this is familiar to one of the situations that David had talked about at Nationals where, you're able to put your opponent behind by so much that they must operate defensively, and you're going to sit comfortably at a large amount of life, and they won't be able to come after you because they're just too busy trying to stay in the game because of the enormous advantage you've given yourself via Wolverine. Up till David's National win, attack damage was really just not a big part of the Dice Masters metagame. Direct damage is what had ruled the roost, and so I'm sure for many players this is a refreshing change. You'll notice that David isn't playing some of the, quote, staple cards that you might expect someone to use, like Gabi or Hulk or Quanin, the Assassin. Okay. Brandon spends 3 for a Gabi. Really, the sidekicks are such an important resource for Brandon because they mean he can spend a shield to use transfer power, and he will take damage from Jinzo, but it will change the damage he takes from any given attacker from being whatever it should be to being 3 damage. Okay. So. Oh, I believe a judge was called over. There seems to be some kind of question here. Players are sorting it out with the judge. One of the important things that I may or may not have said on stream at this point, I know I've said it at some point during this weekend, is that players should feel comfortable calling a judge when they are not sure what the correct way to proceed is. It is not a lack of trust in your opponent, but rather just trying to verify, like, hey, we're playing this game and the rules are X, and I want to make sure that both players, myself and my opponent, are operating within the confines of what should be happening. Because, even if your opponent believes they're right, sometimes genuine mistakes happen. It is definitely not a villainous thing, though Brandon's team is indeed rather villainous. He's thinking about spending those energy. Well, let's see what they're for. 3 for another Gabi. Yeah. Gabi is some pretty excellent burn. It is tough to argue with him. Okay, so Brandon appropriately calls Wolverine, formerly Weapon 10. It should buy him some time. I like that in a world with Jinzo, you have Constantine as a defensive option that is not a global ability. He's a meaningful defense, you could say. So we know Jinzo. I was gonna say can't see what face Jinzo's on, but we know that he was polyed in, so he's going to be at level 1, as is Lord of D. The fact that him and Lord V are both at level 1 means that you can't use the Polymorph Global to spin him up a level. Notice that David opts not to reroll Wolverine into a character side because he'd rather just have the fists. Okay. One of the other interesting globals that's missing from this game is the Magic Missile or Slifer Global of dealing 1 damage to a target. And I think that's something that David is prepared to deal with, but he doesn't want to utilize himself. Okay, so yeah, David makes his characters unblockable and deals lethal damage to Brandon. It makes him unblockable by using Relentless to make all of Brandon's characters unable to block. So, players are cleaning up. I'm going to make sure they realize that this is a best of one and they're not resetting for a game two. And then I'm going to get David over here to talk to us for a little bit.